Today's lesson, we'll be solving real-world problems involving ratios, and our standard is 6RP3. So Megan prepares a fruit punch using apple juice and orange juice in the ratio of 4:3. So if the total volume of the fruit punch is 630 milliliters, find the volume of apple juice Megan uses. So one thing you could do is you could draw a picture that diagrams that ratio. So since it's 4:3, I'm going to draw 4 boxes for apple juice and 3 boxes for the orange juice. So here it tells us that the total volume is 630 milliliters. Excuse me. So that means all of the juices together would give you 630 milliliters. And the fruit punch is made up of the 7 boxes that I just drew. So to determine how much juice is in each box that I've drawn, I'm going to take that total and divide it by 7. So 630 divided by 7 is 90. That means that for each box that I drew, each box is worth 90 milliliters. So to find the volume of apple juice Megan uses, you take the amount that's in one box, which is 90, times the 4 boxes that I drew for apple juice, and that'll give you a total of 360 milliliters. For part B, if Megan uses 520 milliliters excuse me, of apple juice to make the fruit punch, find the volume of orange juice. Well, once again, we still have our ratio of 4:3. But this time, the 520 milliliters is apple juice only. So since apple juice is created with the 4 boxes, this time we're going to take 520 divided by 4, which is 130. So that tells you that each box is worth 130 milliliters. So to find the volume of orange juice, you take 130 times 3 to get 390 milliliters. So a box contains baseball and football cards. Number of baseball cards to the number of football cards is in the ratio of 5:1. So if I do baseball to football, excuse me, there's my ratio of 5:1. So here, the total number is 1,380. So I'm going to take that 1,380 and I divide it by 6. And that's going to tell me what each set is worth. And that would be 230. So to find the number of baseball cards, each item is worth 230. And baseball has 5 of them. So I would take 230 times 5, which is 1,150. And for football, football only has 1, so it's worth 230. If football had 2 sections, you would take 230 times 2. If it had 3, you take 230 times 3, and so on. Okay. For part B, I can use that same picture that I drew in part A, but now it says the number of baseball cards is 950. So I'm going to take that 950, and this time I divide it by 5, because there are 5 sets of baseball cards to get 190. And since there's only one set for football cards, you can leave your answer as 190. Jenny prepares a ceramic glaze, mixture of feldspar, red iron oxide, and silica in the ratio 5:2:3. So feldspar is 5 because that's listed first. Red iron oxide is 2 because that's listed second. And silica has 3 because that's listed third. The mass of the mixture is 1 kilogram, 200 grams. Well, we're going to make a slight change there. We know that 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams, so we're going to make that 1,200 grams. So I'm going to take that 1,200 and divide it by 10. And the reason we're dividing by 10 is because it says it's the mass of the mixture, so it's the whole thing. Well, 1,200 divided by 10 is 120. So that tells me that each circle that I drew is worth 120 grams. So to find the mass of the feldspar, take 120 times 5, and it gives you 600 grams. Excuse me. Red iron oxide has 2 circles, so you take 120 times 2 to get 240 grams. And silica has 3 circles, so you take 120 times 3 to get 360 grams. The school raised $18,000 at a charity event. The money raised was shared among 3 charities, A, B, and C, in the ratio 1 to 2 to 3. How much money did each charity receive? So I'm going to draw my picture here. And there's my ratio of 1 to 2 to 3. So the school raised $18,000. And I'm going to divide that by 6 because there are 6 sets there. Okay, 18,000 divided by 6 is 3,000. Since A only has 1 set, A gets $3,000. B has 2 sets, so you take 3,000 times 2 to get $6,000. And C has 3 sets, so you take 3,000 times 3, which gives you $9,000. Scroll down here for number 3 to get all that on. Extend the page a little bit. I gotta make an adjustment this way. All right, the number of coins collected by Xavier, Johan, and Zachary is in the ratio 2 to 5 to 8. It says Johan collected 85 coins. So we want to find the number of coins Zachary collected. So we need to start by determining what one set is worth. So I know that Johan collected 85 coins. So I'm going to take 85 and divide it by 5 because it says Johan collected 85 coins. So Johan is represented with 5 circles. So 85 divided by 5 would be 17. So that tells me that each circle is worth 17 coins. Excuse me. Zachary has 8 coins or 8 circles, so he would have a total of 136 coins. And then for part B, find the number of coins collected by the 3 boys all together. So let's scroll that up a little bit. Well, there are 15 total sections. Each section is worth 17 coins. So 17 times 15 gives you a total of 255 coins. The ratio of the number of CDs Brad has, the number of CDs Keith has, is 2 to 3. The ratio of the number of CDs Keith has, the number of CDs Simone has, is 6 to 11. Brad has 24 CDs. How many CDs do Keith and Simone have all together? So we have 2 ratios here. We have Brad to Keith, which is 2 to 3, and we have Keith to Simone, which is 6 to 11. Well, you'll notice that each ratio has Keith in it. Excuse me. So what we want to do is we want to convert that into one ratio of Brad to Keith to Simone. Well, we know that Brad to Keith is 2 to 3. Keith to Simone is 6 to 11. Keith is in both ratios, so Keith will help us determine what the one ratio is. So we look at the two terms, and we have 3 and 6, and we look for their least common multiple. Well, the least common multiple of 3 and 6 is 6. Well, to get from 3 to 6, I multiply by 2, so I take Brad's number times 2, and that gives me 4. And then since the 6 didn't change, the 11 doesn't change, so Simone's number is 11. It says here that Brad has 24 CDs. So I take 24 divided by 4, similar to what I did in previous problems. Excuse me. And that tells us that each set is worth 6 CDs. And so to find out how many CDs Keith and Simone have altogether, we would take 11 plus 6 to get 17, and 17 times 6 is 102 CDs. At Stacy's Middle School, students either ride bikes to school, walk, or take the bus. The ratio of the number of students who ride bikes to the number of students who walk is 3 to 4. So we've got riding to walking, a ratio of 3 to 4. The ratio of the students who walk to the number who take a bus is 12 to 7. So walk to bus is 12 to 7. So again, we have two separate ratios, and we want to create one ratio. We see that walkers are in both, so that's going to help us set up our ratio. Riding to walking is 3 to 4. Walking to bus is 12 to 7. Walkers are in both ratios. We look for the least common multiple. Well, the least common multiple of 4 and 12 is 12. And since 4 times 3 is 12, we take 3 times 3 to get 9. And since we didn't change the 12, we're not going to change the 7. It says there are 560 students in all. So to figure out what one set is worth, we take 560 and we're going to divide it by 28. You get 28 by adding 9 plus 12 plus 7 to get 28. And 56 divided by 28 is 20. So that tells you that each set is worth 20 students. So if we want to find the number of students who ride bikes to school, we take 20 times 9, which is 180. For part B, to find the number of students who walk to school, we take 20 times 12, which is 240. And to find the students who take a bus to school, we take 20 times 7 to get 140. And our final one for today, Danny poured 78 liters of water into containers X, Y, and Z. The ratio of the volume of water in container X to the volume of water in container Y is 5 to 2. So we have X to Y is 5 to 2. The ratio of the volume of water in container Y to container Z is 8 to 11. And we want to figure out how much water was poured into container X. Well, once again, we have two ratios. We want to write them as one ratio. And we notice that Y is in both, so that's going to be our key here. X to Y to Z. X to Y is 5 to 2. Y to Z is 8 to 11. Least common multiple of 2 and 8 is 8. Excuse me, since 2 times 4 is 8, 5 times 4 is 20, and we didn't make a change to the 8, so we do not make a change to the 11. We had 78 liters of water, and we're pouring that into all 3 containers. So we're going to take 78 divided by 39, because 20 plus 8 plus 11 is 39. And we get a result of 2, which means each set is worth 2. So to find out how much water was poured into container X had 2, or 20, and each of them was worth 2. So that would be 40 liters. And if we want to know how much more water was poured into container X than container Z, well, Z had 11. 11 times 2 is 22. And how much more means we subtract, so 40 minus 22 equals 18 liters. And that is today's lesson. As always, I hope this helps.